Hello everyone. We're going to do a mini training session on the ACA. We're beginning to see a fair number of problems with some of these worksheets and actually getting some rejects through the transmitting office as well. So hopefully this is going to clarify some of those issues. We won't address every single situation in this, but we want to just make sure that our basics are covered. So this is the ACA worksheet, which of course is over in your tree. It's recommended that you first prepare all of the tax return, complete the tax return in its entirety before you go to the ACA worksheet. The primary focus of this little mini training is going to be on the premium tax credit, but I want to mention a couple of other things before we go there. One thing that I have started doing is that the first thing I do when I go to the ACA worksheet is I will click on exemptions in order to have the 8965 come up in the tree. I like to do that because then it pushes me to the 8965 to see whether there are any obvious exemptions that I can claim for my client. Some of you may recognize this tax return. This is our friend Spencer Jordan that we have visited a couple of times before. Um, then again, it's been a while, so none of you may recognize him. At any rate, I wanted to point that out that I recommend starting first with the ACA worksheet. Click on the exemption box, particularly if the person doesn't have coverage all year, and first determine whether there is an exemption applicable to your client. Next, I'm going to go back to the ACA worksheet because we do have a 1095A for Spencer. You'll see that here that he has a few months where he had no coverage and no exemption. But we do know that he purchased insurance in the marketplace because he does come in with a 1095A. When you click the marketplace column, the 8962 is added to your tree. So you're going to go then to that form. And TaxWise populates a fair bit of this form for you. It has the size of Spencer's family, his modified AGI. Line 2B, of course, is where you would add in any dependent income that is required. This is only for dependents who are required to file a tax return. Remember, if a dependent files only to get a refund back, then we don't add in their income. It's only for those dependents that have a filing requirement. Line 4, we're going to check other 48 states and DC. And now I want to focus a little bit here on line 6. As we see here, Spencer falls at 101% of the federal poverty level. So he is eligible for the premium tax credit. But some of our clients are going to be below the 100% federal poverty level. If this number right here, populated by TaxWise, is less than 100%, box no will be checked here, that the client is not eligible for the premium tax credit. However, there are situations in which the person will be eligible for the PTC. And these requirements are in the instructions to the form 8962. And I'm going to show you that here briefly. These are These are the requirements. So someone in the family must have enrolled in a health plan through the marketplace. At the time of enrollment, the marketplace estimated that the household income would fall between 100 and 400% of FPL, that the person received advance premium tax credit for at least 1 month during 14, and that they are a qualifying taxpayer otherwise. So assuming your client meets all of this criteria, and we can assume that the marketplace estimated that their income would fall between the qualifying range of 100 and 400%. Otherwise, they would not have given the person the advanced premium tax credit. If they fulfill this criteria, then when we go to this question down here on number 6, we could check yes, that they do qualify for the premium tax credit. All right, scrolling down to part 2. Did you share a policy with another taxpayer or get married during the year and want to use the alternative calculation? I suspect we will be seeing some of these in the tax sites, but for purposes of this illustration now, we're going to check no. Spencer did not get married in the tax year. He wasn't sharing his insurance policy with another tax family, so this is no. And then it asks whether the Form 1095A includes coverage for the entire 12 months with no change in the monthly amount. And I don't have up here for you Spencer's 1095A, but you may remember, and if you don't, I'll tell you, he only had marketplace coverage starting in June. So because his 1095A does not include all 12 months, and those months with no changes, you'll notice here the no changes, this also is going to be no. And when 10 is checked no, just as it says here, you compute your PTC on line 24. What we're seeing is that even though the 1095A has lines filled in for just a part of the year, people are trying to fill in this annual calculation amount. That is incorrect, and the return will reject for that reason. So unless you have a 1095A that is showing the same amount for every month, January through December, you're not going to fill in any information here on line 11. This is left blank. Another common issue we're seeing is that people will fill in the annual amount and then come down here and fill in the monthly amounts. That also is incorrect, will cause a reject. So just to reiterate, the only time you're going to fill in amounts here on line 11 are if your 1095A has the lines are filled in for all the months, January through December, all the fields are the same on each line. If there are any months that aren't filled in, or if the amount of the premium changes throughout the year, you will come down to these lines here for the monthly calculation. And this is where you transfer the information from your 1095A. You may also see some 1095As where the information on the form seems to be inconsistent with what your client tells you. For example, we have seen some with an amount listed in column A, which is the amount of the insurance premium, and then nothing listed in the final column under the premium tax credit amount. and yet the client may tell you that she didn't pay the full amount of her premium. If that's the case, the client is going to need to go back to the marketplace to get a corrected form. This is the same situation if someone disputes the information that's on a W-2 or on a Form 1099. We can't make changes to those forms. The client is required to go back to the source and try to get a correction made of any form that is incorrect. So if something seems out of line on the 1095A, instruct your client to go back to the marketplace in order to get a correction.